The greatest injustice is not only what is done to a people, but when they are blamed for the conditions created against them. Oppression is designed and then explained as if it were the victim's fault.
Hold on. I'm a little confused. Riddle me this. Why is this aggression towards black people? Hello? When our president was in the White House for 8 years, he was voted in. He didn't cheat to get there. And he did for everybody, even despite the fact that he was black. He gave millions of people medical insurance. They didn't want to see that man go. Still respected to this day. As a matter of fact, world leaders don't want to talk to nobody else but him. So I'm trying to understand and ascertain why y'all mad at black people. Y'all voted this man in. He's your president. He's the one who allowed you to platform your hate. So what you mad at black people for? What we do? You would think that we were the ones who sold off pieces of America to the highest bidder. You would think we were the ones who made ourselves billionaires while taking from the American people. Are we the reason why you can't buy a car, a house, or pay for gas or groceries? I don't think so. It wasn't us that passed the big beautiful bill. It wasn't our president who was the sexual predator. As a matter of fact, our president was handsome, married, with an educated wife, and 2 beautiful daughters. I'm confused. Hello? He literally set the standard. At that time, America still had a little class left. So I'm trying to understand and ascertain, where is this aggression coming from with black people? You would think that we were the ones who executed Alex Preddy and Renee Good in the middle of the street in broad daylight, and then got a GoFundMe to get us halfway to $1 million, and still had a job. You would have thought we was the ones who created the concentration camps that's happening right now. You would think that it would be our men who are impregnating young Hispanic teenage girls and then thinking about putting them on a private island so they can have even more access to these young Hispanic girls that's been separated from their families.
I think the saddest part about life under Mad King Trump is that it's not like we weren't warned. When the whole ICE situation blew up and we were watching these horrific scenes unfold every day, I thought, this is what the black community was trying to warn us about during the George Floyd protests. They had already seen firsthand the brutality, the excessive use of force, and the complete erosion of the Fourth Amendment, which paved the way for the blatant racial profiling we're seeing now. But we just didn't listen. And now we have militarized ICE agents everywhere, crawling our streets and even our airports. You know, our law enforcement was emboldened in the inner city during the war on drugs, and the black community tried to warn us. Millions of them tried to warn us. But we said, that's their problem. What's that got to do with us? Well, it's got everything to do with us now, because the black community has always been the canary in the coal mine. The problem is we just never seem to.
Across America, frustration is growing. Families are paying more for groceries. Gas prices continue to strain household budgets. Housing remains expensive. Insurance costs are climbing. And many Americans are asking one same question. How did things become this difficult? In some cases, people have begun pointing fingers at black Americans, blaming them for the country's economic struggles. But that accusation raises an important question. How could a community that has never been the nation majority's voting bloc or held dominant political power be responsible for economic conditions affecting over 340 million Americans? The reality is more complicated. During the last election, many black voters openly warned that campaign promises alone will not magically reduce inflation or erase deep economic challenges overnight. Those warnings were dismissed. Many believe that simply electing a different president will immediately lower prices, restore purchasing power, and solve everyday financial struggles. Then, months later, many Americans are discovering that governing and managing a complex economy is far more difficult than campaigning slogans suggested. So, today we are looking at why economic frustration has led some people to research for someone to blame, what black Americans actually warned about, and why solving Americans' economic challenges requires facts instead of scapegoats.
Male needs to get up and decide to put these black chicks in their place.
Damn, that's huge.
I get it.
You say that black women are messing with your mom? Or you say your
The
mom's in the
country.
hospital? Oh, they're messing with the country.
That's so.
Okay, all right.
So the black male needs to say, you know,
Well, let me hold that thought. Let me order this food real quick.
oh,
Can I get a crab and shrimp Louis with extra crab on it, extra shrimp, and add some salmon to it.
Salmon?
Yeah, salmon.
It's smoked salmon, is that okay?
That's okay. And I'll take another one of these Cadillacs.
I'll make it strong for you.
Thank you very much.
Do you want one order?
Yes, please. Now, what was you saying again?
the black male needs to wrestle the black female and tell her and put her in her place. Because if you don't, she's just gonna just, you know.
Right.
She's just gonna, I don't know, she's just gonna, you know, mess it all up.
Why is the black woman gonna mess it up?
For, well, color of her skin, you know, people like porcelain skin, the blue eyes, the yellow hair, you know, all of it. You want to go there?
I'm asking you.
I'm telling you.
First of all, our black women are strong.
I know that.
We got strong black women in this world. Yes, indeed. And the black women in this country, in this world, is not the problem.
Yes, they are.
Because when you talk about it, you talk about my black mother.
No.
You talking about my black sister. You talking about my girlfriend. You talking about everybody. Now I don't know what's going on with your mom.
Yes, no, sir.
I don't know what's going on with your mom, but my condolences to whatever's going on with your mom. But no, I don't think it's every black woman's fault what's going on with your
Let me tell you about
mom.
my mom.
Yeah, I'm listening.
That bitch is 97 years old and she don't know how to quit.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
You read me? You got black chicks that are like that, okay? They need to be reined in. I'm serious.
These ladies over here would love for you to join them.
Okay, right on.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, you have a nice day, okay?
Hi.
There's been a lot of blaming of people like immigrants for our economic problems, when the real factor is that the wealthy and the corporations are taking a bigger and bigger share. I am the Director of Research and Economic Policy at Hawaii Children's Action Network. In Hawaii, we've got the highest cost of living in the nation, but our wages don't keep up with them at all. At the same time, our tax system taxes lower income people at a higher rate than the richest people in Hawaii. So we can make changes to our tax system, not only to make the wealthy and corporations pay more, but also use the tax system to get money back into the pockets of working families. The Academy's graduates are a small but growing faction in the Hawaii legislature, and that's amazing. I think it just keep progressing, more candidates, more people working at the state legislature, more informed citizens who can talk about environmental justice, economic justice, and the real solutions that can get us to be more.
Most black voters, by the way, have no idea about the racist history of the Democratic Party. I didn't know when I was in high school that Democrats founded the Klan. I didn't know when I was in high school that Democrats voted against the 13th Amendment that freed the slaves, the 14th Amendment that gave slaves citizenship, the 15th Amendment that at least on paper gave slaves the right to vote. Democrats voted against all of that stuff. I didn't know when I was in high school that more Republicans as a percentage of the party voted for the Civil Rights Act of 1964 than did Democrats. I didn't know that. I didn't know that Everett Dirksen, a Republican in Illinois, got an award from the NAACP for how he helped to shepherd the Civil Rights Bill through Congress. I didn't know that Al Gore's father participated in what was then the longest filibuster to prevent the bill from ever becoming on the floor. I also bought into that notion that, okay, Democrats used to be racist, but then Republicans switched places with them in the 60s. I bought into that until I found out that of all the Democrats that voted against the Civil Rights Act in the House, of all the Democrats who voted against the Civil Rights Act in the Senate, only 2 switched to the Republican Party, one of whom was Strom Thurmond. George Wallace, who stood in front of the school door as a Democratic governor saying segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever, he died a Democrat. Robert Byrd, who was a Kliegel, that means a recruiter for the Klan, he died a Democrat at 100 years old in the Senate. Most of these guys never switch parties. It is a lie. The reason the South became more and more Republican is because the Democratic Party became more and more left-wing, became anti-Vietnam, anti-war, pro-abortion, and the South became increasingly uncomfortable with their allegiance to the Democratic Party, especially since Jim Crow had fallen. If Jim Crow has fallen, why are we in bed with these Democrats? What's the point? And so the South became more and more Republican for a reason that had nothing to do with racism. But that was the line that was fed by so many people, and so many blacks to this day believe that.
Hold on. I'm a little confused. Riddle me this. Why is this aggression towards black people? Hello? When our president was in the White House for 8 years, he was voted in. He didn't cheat to get there. And he did for everybody, even despite the fact that he was black. He gave millions of people medical insurance. They didn't want to see that man go. Still respected to this day. As a matter of fact, world leaders don't want to talk to nobody else but him. So I'm trying to understand and ascertain why y'all mad at black people. Y'all voted this man in. He's your president. He's the one who allowed you to platform your hate. So what you mad at black people for? What we do? You would think that we were the ones who sold off pieces of America to the highest bidder. You would think we were the ones who made ourselves billionaires while taking from the American people. Are we the reason why you can't buy a car, a house, or pay for gas or groceries? I don't think so. It wasn't us that passed the big beautiful bill. It wasn't our president who was the sexual predator. As a matter of fact, our president was handsome, married, with an educated wife, and 2 beautiful daughters. I'm confused. Hello? He literally set the standard. At that time, America still had a little class left. So I'm trying to understand and ascertain, where is this aggression coming from with black people? You would think that we were the ones who executed Alex Preddy and Renee Good in the middle of the street in broad daylight, and then got a GoFundMe to get us halfway to $1 million, and still had a job. You would have thought we was the ones who created the concentration camps that's happening right now. You would think that it would be our men who are impregnating young Hispanic teenage girls and then thinking about putting them on a private island so they can have even more access to these young Hispanic girls that's been separated from their families. It's misplaced aggression, baby. We're the ones that provide seasoning here. If it wasn't for Obama, a lot of y'all wouldn't even have Medicaid right now and Medicare. And your boy is trying to take it from you as we speak. He's trying to cut that. He don't care about veterans. He don't care about police. Hello? He was about to give the police officer, I thought y'all said Blue Lives Matter. He was about to give the resurrectionists money. Millions of dollars. You're mad at us? If America is a business, how come he cutting y'all out? Y'all white. Y'all should be good. 400-year head start. This is your mascot. Why you the only one getting rich? You wasting your time being mad at us. We don't have the control. Hello?
Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. These are people that do nothing but complain. We don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
What do you think of those remarks? The fact that he's trying to blame them for all our problems is complete BS. They can't defend their record when it comes to the economy. The fact that they failed to lower the cost of housing, the cost of childcare, the cost of groceries. So what they're trying to do is once again launch into these attacks on immigrants to distract from their policy failures, the idea that they're actually making America better.
So we in America can't even afford to live anymore. This 1976 cost of living, the average income was $16,000. A home was $43,000. New car, $5,000. Rent, $220 per month. Just look at these prices. So based on that, they're saying that the average income should be what, $84,000 now? So that means that with $240,000, I should be able to buy a new house. It's not possible. And also the average income is not $84,000. You know, most people are making way less than that, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, but it's not $84,000. And based on this, I should be able to get a new car. That's what, it says it would be like $5,000. So if my income is $80,000, a new car should be like $20,000, which most of the time they also are not. I mean, unless you're getting a value car. Also, if we're looking at this, your rent for the year should only be 15% of $6,000, which would be about $2,000 something dollars, which our rent is not 15% per year. It's like 30 or 40% per month. So yeah, something is definitely wrong. New car, nothing is adding up. So basically, we're not making enough to support what things cost, and it's a horrible.
Hi, I don't know what you've been doing. If you've been collecting supplies, water, extra container of Band-Aids, Neosporin, or you have upped it to maybe even getting a backup power generator. But if I were you, I would get into high gear. Things are not good right now. They're going to get worse. And you need to have something to fall back on. If you listen to no other videos that I've made, listen to this one.
Let me first say that I'm not an expert in this, but I have been reading and I have been listening to a lot of people way smarter than me, and I want to give you some small, bite-sized, practical things you can do. And number one, be prepared. Just like if there was going to be a snowstorm or a winter storm that you might be in your house for a little while. Rice and beans, people, that whole deal that we've talked about before. Number two, we have to build community. If you don't talk to your neighbors, now is the time to start. If you haven't talked to your neighbor across the street in 10 years and you think it's awkward now, get over it. Go knock on the door and say, hey, you want to have a cup of coffee? Hey, I want to take a walk around the block. Start neighborhood watches. Start phone trees. Start things like that, because we may lose access to information like this. So those are the first two baby steps. More's coming. And watch other creators, because I certainly don't have it all figured out. I will share with you what I learn, because I love my family. Go love your neighbor.
Wait a minute. I thought Joe Biden was causing all this inflation. That's what I was told. Every time gas went up, groceries went up, rent went up, eggs went up. Somebody said, look what Joe Biden did. So now I'm confused, because if Joe Biden is still personally responsible for inflation, why won't Donald Trump stop him? If Trump loves America as much as he says he does, why is he letting Joe Biden run around and raise the price of everything? Why won't he tackle Joe Biden to the ground and snatch inflation out of his hands? Gas, housing, groceries, cars. Why is Biden out here apparently still controlling all these prices? Or, just hear me out, maybe inflation is a little more complicated than blaming one person every time the price of bacon goes up. I'm just asking questions, because y'all told me Joe Biden had these magical inflation powers. So where's Trump at? Why hasn't he stopped him yet? Why isn't he saving us from all of this inflationary oppression?
Now, in this report, what we've seen, it's a report that is both coupled with a true cost of living report, is that the inequities in this city, the racial inequities, are stark. We are talking about findings that have shown that the wealth of a median white household in the city is more than $200,000, while that of a black household is less than $20,000. This is not an indictment of any one New Yorker. It is an indictment, however, of policies and politics that have persisted for far too long.
Now, see, this is what we need. This is the type of politicians we need. I love it. But what struck me the most about this wasn't just the numbers, it was the honesty. A politician stood in front of the public and plainly acknowledged that in New York City, white households hold over $200,000 in median wealth, while black households hold less than $20,000. Not whispered, not sugar-coated, not buried in some report that no one reads. He said it out loud. And then he said something even more important. This is not an indictment of anyone. It's an indictment of policies and politics that have persisted for far too long. Guys, that is leadership. Not pretending inequity doesn't exist because the truth makes racists uncomfortable. Not gaslighting people who have lived these realities for generations. Not hiding behind slogans while entire communities struggle under the weight of policies that created massive disparities. This is what we need from politicians.
Our commitment now is to act upon these findings, to do so in concert with New Yorkers' comments, as we've now opened a public comment period for the next 30 days to ensure that we have a city where we are reckoning with the long history of racism here and starting to act upon a framework that puts equity right at the center of it. Thank you.
Sure. And see, this is what I loved most about this clip. They didn't just stop at acknowledging the problem. They actually opened public comments. They created a timeline. They're talking about action. Because leadership is not supposed to protect people from discomfort. It's supposed to confront problems honestly enough to solve them. For far too long, politicians have treated conversations about racial inequality like something dangerous to say publicly. Meanwhile, the disparities just kept growing. This is what courage in politics looks like. Not division, not hate, not blaming ordinary people. Truth, accountability, action. And honestly, America is starving for leaders willing to do exactly that. Go, Mamdani.
Once you start doing a deep dive and actually looking up and understanding these statistics, you will see that white people are some of the biggest hypocrites ever. Let's take black on black crime, for example. Historically, 85% of all white murders are done by another white person. For black people, it's around 88%, so it's not that much off. Now, we can talk about sex crimes such as rape and stuff like that, right? They make up nearly 70%. God damn. And I love how they try to fear monger against black people. Oh, we're violent, we're this and that. Listen, don't worry about us unaliving y'all. Worry about them drugs. Bro, they account for nearly 70% of drug overdoses since like 2015. Like, this shit is crazy, but they try to put the blame on us. No, bro, I know statistics. They can't hit me with that, bro.
And black women are complaining about 50-50. Girl, we are in last place. Look at it, income by ethnicity. We are in dead last place. Well, I'll never go 50-50 with my man.
You know, I wasn't even going to talk about this, but since I keep seeing a whole bunch of people talk about this and refuse to use their brain, you know what? Might as well give my take on it. You know, marriage, building, generational, all that shit comes from a partnership. That's what 50-50 is. 50-50 is a metaphor for partnership, because if both of y'all get 50%, you're going to get 100 out of it. It has been historically proven that we are at a disadvantage and we spend the most money, and you don't think we should come together as one? Like, if you look at any stereotypical establishment, whether it's a 7-Eleven, a beauty supply store, a Chinese food spot, a Jamaican, whatever food spot, store, whatever. The whole family is in there working. And eventually they make money and they open up more stores. And the family stops working. They hire people. They're building. And the main problem with this is most people react to this off past trauma and emotions. Like, you lived through it. Learn from your mistakes or whatever you went through and move on. That's how you get better at something. Trial and error. But nope. Black women gonna point the finger at the black man. Black man gonna point the finger at the black woman. Like, bro, at some point, y'all gotta get tired of being a Spider-Man meme.
When life becomes expensive, people naturally become frustrated. When fuel prices climb, people begin looking for an explanation. But history shows that during difficult economic periods, societies often search for simple answers to every complicated problems. Sometimes politicians get blamed. Sometimes immigrants, sometimes corporations. Sometimes entire communities become convenient targets. But recently, some voices online have tried blaming Black Americans. But blaming one racial group for nationwide economic condition ignores how modern economies actually work. The American economy is influenced by factors like global energy markets, interest rates, Federal Reserve policy, consumer spending, supply chains, government budgets, international conflicts, business investment, labor markets, and trade policies. None of these are controlled by ordinary Black families going to work, paying taxes, and raising children. Throughout the campaign, many Black commentators, economists, activists, and everyday citizens repeatedly made one point. They warned MAGA voters to look beyond campaign promises. They argue that presidents do not possess a magic button that instantly lowers prices. Inflation develops over years. Housing shortages take years to solve. Supply chain disruption cannot be fixed overnight. Tariffs, taxes, government spending, and interest rate decisions all affect prices in different ways. Many MAGA voters, however, hoped dramatic promises would quickly improve their lives. For MAGA voters, the expectation was simple. Elect new leadership, prices fall. Life becomes affordable again, but reality has proven them wrong. Campaigns often simplify difficult issues, but governing does not. And once in office, leaders face economic realities that cannot simply be washed away instantly. Food prices depend on weather, transportation, labor cost, and international trade. Housing prices reflect supply shortages accumulated over many years. Businesses set prices based on operating cost. Insurance companies respond to financial risk. Interest rates influence borrowing. None of these change overnight. For families expecting immediate relief, disappointment can quickly become frustration. And across many communities in America, Americans continue discussing rising expenses. Parents worry about groceries. Workers worry about commuting cost. Young adults struggle to afford homes. Retirees stretch fixed incomes. Small businesses face higher operating costs. And these concerns affect Americans of every race, both Black, white, Latino, and Asian Americans. The good thing is that economic pressure does not discriminate. When inflation or high prices persist, everyone must feel it. When expectations aren't met, psychology often changes. And instead of asking whether expectations were realistic, some people begin asking, who caused this? Finding one person or one group to blame can feel emotionally satisfying. But simple explanations rarely solve complex problems. History contains many examples of societies blaming minorities during periods of economic hardship. Yet those accusations almost never address the true causes of economic stress. And scapegoating may provide an emotional outlet. It does not lower grocery prices. It does not reduce rent. It does not create jobs. And it does not balance family budgets. One fact is often forgotten. Black Americans shop at the same grocery stores with other races. They buy the same gasoline like others. They pay rent and mortgages like others. They face healthcare expenses just like others. They pay utility bills. They experience inflation just like everyone else. So, if prices increase, black families also bear those costs. Suggesting that black Americans somehow benefit from high living costs ignores the reality that they are affected by the same economy as every other American. Many Americans hoped their vote would immediately transform the economy. That hope is understandable. Everyone wants relief. They want stability. They want affordable lives. But elections alone cannot erase structural economic problems just overnight. Policies take time. Markets adjust gradually. Businesses react to changing conditions. Consumers change spending habits. Economic recovery, when it happens, is often measured in years but not in weeks. Perhaps the most important lesson is this: democracy works best when citizens evaluate policies based on evidence rather than emotion. No political party possesses instant solution to the country's problems. No president controls every price. No racial group causes nationwide inflation. No single election guarantees prosperity. Complex nations face complex challenges, and recognizing that complexity is the first step toward realistic solutions. But blaming black Americans for national economic problems ignores how the economy actually functions and risks deepening division instead of addressing real issues. What do you think? Please talk to me in the comment section.